Good morning, everyone. We have all gathered here to celebrate International Women's Day, as well as officially launch WIN-NITT, the Women's Inclusivity Network of NIT Trichy. This community was first conceptualized at GAM, the Global Alumni Meet, its main aim being to inspire and enable women of NIT-T to achieve their career aspirations through networking and support from NIT Trichy alumni. We are extremely grateful to our alumni for their invaluable support. We are hoping to bring more alumni into the loop to equip our NITians enough so that the stumbling blocks in their path don't hold them back from fulfilling their dreams. We also have in place on campus a recent initiative to empower the current women students of NIT Trichy called the Women in Tech Community. This community was conceptualized virtually in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic with the aim of improving the representation of women in STEM and removing any form of existing bias associated with their performance. How we try to do this is by establishing a supportive peer group where they empower one another, thus leading to collective growth. One might ask why such a community is required in the first place. About 43% of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, also known as STEM graduates in India, are women, which is the highest in the world. But women's share in STEM jobs in India is a mere 14%. In Sweden, on the other hand, women's share in STEM degrees and jobs are 35 and 34% respectively. With such a ratio, there is a lack of role models for girls and women. There are instances of missed opportunities. Inspired by our seniors' efforts to make our journey a little easier, we intended to give the women folk success stories and role models to motivate them to pursue careers in STEM. And if we could, India could be a more 27% richer with a more gender balanced workforce. This community will be a safe space for women at various stages of learning. Although we are still in the early stages of this initiative, there is so much planned for you all to benefit from, as well as give back to the community. We've had an incredible journey so far. Our activities kicked off with the alumni spotlight session, which had our beloved Srimati ma'am, who's here with us today too, answering all of our questions very patiently. Her infectious confidence and never say die spirit already getting us ready to set out there into the world and make our next conquest. We've had several Ask Me Anything sessions on scholarships like SRFP and Womxn, on internship programs like Google Step, on tech tracks like AI, ML, open source, power electronics, and algorithms, panel discussions with L&T women leads, research opportunities, and resume drafting sessions, followed by personalized resume reviews and mock interviews. We have a Discord community where we periodically post updates about upcoming opportunities and have some interesting discussions. We are looking forward to making this community more vibrant. We would like to thank our director, our alumni, the student council, and the technical council for making this possible. Now, the theme for International Women's Day 2021, announced by UN Women, was Women in Leadership Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID 19 World. And to honor this very theme, we have invited NITT Women Alumni in the leadership as our chief guests for this occasion. We'll first kickstart today with the launch of WIN-NITT by our esteemed director, Dr. Shaji Thomas, a woman leader herself. We will then have our chief guest, Mrs. Srimati Shankar, Mrs. Ms. Shraman community. This will be followed by a panel discussion. Post lunch, which is at 1:30 p.m., we have a bunch of exciting events planned out for all of you. We have a scavenger hunt, we have coffee chats, we have a doodle session, and so on. There are goodies waiting for you too. So check out the live stream description down below for the Teams meeting link of the post lunch session. And all of this, of course, would not have been possible without our honorable director, Dr. Shaji Thomas. As a woman, she has always been a staunch supporter of our efforts from inception until now. In no time, she facilitated the conduction of today's series of events from start to finish and obtained stellar alumni support in the blink of an eye to make the session possible. If not for her efforts, we wouldn't be marching ahead with the objective to do the best that we can to make this world a more diverse and inclusive place. I will now hand it over to our director, Dr. Mini Shaji Thomas, to inaugurate the launch.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sandhya. Thank you, Sandhya. I'm glad and excited that this event is happening today. We have been planning for a long time to have this launch. As we are celebrating Women's Day events one after the other, I'm glad we are inaugurating this WIN-NITT today. We are launching it today. And I'm sure this will bring in lot of enthusiasm. It's already bringing in lot of enthusiasm among our students. And I'm sure this is going to be a great journey, something very unique to NIT Trichy, as we have always been doing with many initiatives for our community. In the institute, I just wanted to let everybody know that like Sandhya was mentioning, the percentage of women in STEM fields. In academics also the same thing happens, not only in industry. Assistant professor level, we have many women, but when you climb up the ladder to higher positions, it reduces. Like 42% of women faculty at assistant entry level are women. Whereas when you climb up, it becomes 27% when you reach professor positions, and directors, if you take, or vice chancellors, among all the universities in India, it's only 7%. And among centrally funded institutions, technical institutions, probably I am the only one. So it's a very difficult journey for women. So at the institute level, we have initiated many programs. I just want to mention what we did for faculty. We conducted what is called capacity building program for women managers in higher education. 2 programs we conducted. We already have 50 plus women faculty before we recruited recently. And in the recent recruitment, I'm very glad to announce that 21 out of 67 new faculty we recruited are women. That's a 33%. And overall, now we stand at 26% women faculty. So this training program we did twice for the existing faculty, and later in March 23rd onwards, we are doing it for the newly recruited young women faculty, so that from the beginning, they know what to do. And I was prompted to take up leadership position by this program, which I attended way back in 2004. So otherwise, I always used to shy away from leadership. Although I was, very diligent and I could do many things on my own, but leadership was, I thought it's not for me. So I think this event now we are doing for the students, because we have close to more than 1,800 girl students in the campus, which is like 23% of the girls out of 7,000 plus. So I'm very glad this is happening. Now, the genesis of WIN-NITT is, of course, GAM. Thanks to Srimati and others who contributed, and we had a session in GAM, how to go about it. But then because of COVID and other things, we could not launch it initially. But I'm glad it is happening. It's very important to have mentors, especially women who can tell you what to do and what not to do, how to navigate your professional career. So, and I'm glad we have so many women alumni who are doing extremely well in their profession, managing their professional and personal lives. We all have problems. It's not that, everything is given to us in a platter. We all went through a lot of problems in our professional life. If you take my case, I'm from a small village in Kerala, born to middle class parents. I studied in Malayalam medium, but then my family and society were very supportive. I never had any. I didn't face any discrimination when I was a child or a college student. I was given equal opportunity. I was the elder. I have a brother. We had equal opportunity. There was absolutely no problem. But that's not the case with many women students nowadays, because once I started traveling across India and the world, I realized I was one of the lucky ones to be, considered equal when I was younger. But in professional life, I had a lot of hurdles, lot of problems, because of the climate was not conducive for a lady in a technical institute to come up and reach leadership positions. And there was no concept of mentors. There was no concept of there was no role model to look up to, etc., etc. So it was very difficult to find a mentor from alumni, because when I was a young professional, there was no alumni connect as now we have. And then how I found I have mentors. I could find my mentors from my professional society, IEEE. So when I started volunteering, when I started using my professional network, I could find mentors. And both, I have two mentors who still mentor me and help me in my profession. They are both men. So there's no it's not restricted to women. You can have mentors, men as well. But I'm glad a lot of our women alumni are already in leadership positions, and something more they can contribute, I feel, if a lady is mentoring another girl student. So it's so I have gained immensely from my mentors, because I have a problem professionally. I can discuss with them. They can give inputs. And one of my mentor is an academician. He's a very renowned professor. And the other one is a very renowned person working in industry. So I had best of both worlds, as I could get inputs from. So in my profession, I was always up to date with industry as to what is happening in the industry and about academics. So the point is, when you are there, when there are people to help you, why should you do it alone? Why would you do it alone? So it's just the connect which is missing. And I'm glad this is happening. I must congratulate the student council and all involved in making this happen. And we have a very exciting lineup of events. And before I go into that, I wish to thank Srimati from HCL, Revati from Titan, Maggie, who has her own company now. Earlier, she was with Anita Bog Institute, and Shanti from Cognizant. I'm very glad at short notice they all agreed to participate. My greetings and my sincere thanks to each one of you for sparing time. And what we are planning is, today we are launching, and then we are rolling out mentor forms to the women alumni of the institute. The student council and the group who are conducting it has a very they have a very ambitious number of 1,000 mentors. I would wish that in the first phase, that is first phase from March 16 to 29, I'm sure we will be able to find at least 100. Then from March 30th to April 7th, we will be rolling out mentee forms to our students who are in the institute. And then March 8th to 15th, we'll be finalizing the mentor-mentees. And from April 15th onwards, we are planning to start the mentoring. So this is the plan. So I'm very glad that this is happening, and I'm sure we will all take it seriously. It's not that once you launch, you forget about it. I request the student council and those who are involved, the committee, to take it very seriously. Let me know what help you need from my side to connect with alumni. I can send messages. They have WhatsApp groups. Each batch has WhatsApp groups, so I'm sure many will come forward to take up these initiative. And with these words, I formally launch WIN-NITT of NIT Trichy, and I wish the program all success. And we would like to see more women leaders in top positions and in mid-level positions in industry, in research institutions, as well as in academia. I volunteer to be one mentor to start with, but I would like people to talk to me to get into academics. So, with that, thank you very much, and wishing you all the best. Thank you once again, all four of you who joined, and thank you to the team, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your words. Your strength, your perseverance, and your resilience is extremely inspiring to all of us. And honestly speaking, you're our number one role model as a director, as a woman leader yourself. So, and yeah, of course. So, with your help and with your support, you being a source of strength for all of us, we are so excited to have WIN-NITT launch officially. And now, so with that, as Director Ma'am herself earlier mentioned, we have an excellent lineup for today. And what we are going to hear is an outcome of decades of rich experience. It's incredible that we actually have something in common with all of these speakers here who are at these top level positions. And that is, all of us were molded into who we are today by NIT Trichy. If only they were with us in person. Nevertheless, we are extremely thankful that they have agreed to grace this event at such short notice. In fact, isn't that the power of the NIT-T brand? So, with that, we request the students to maximize this opportunity to connect with them, to interact with them, to feel free to post any questions that they have in the comment box. And we'll now call upon the first speaker, Mrs. Srimati Shivshankar. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us for this session. And we have had you with us earlier too, and it was such an enlightening session, and we just can't wait to hear more from you. So, Mrs. Srimati Shivshankar is an alumnus of the 1986-90 batch of the then REC with a major in computer science and engineering and an MBA from Ohio University. She has worked under various positions throughout her career, ranging from HR head to senior consultant to being an entrepreneur. She has also authored research papers on tech and corporate social responsibility. She has been an important member of many major committees and forums such as the NASCOM, UN Women, World Business Council for Sustainable Development, to name a few. She is currently a corporate vice president of HCL Technologies. She is also a distinguished alumna awardee of NIT Trichy, and rightfully so. This short introduction would do no justice to her wide range of work and achievements, and today we will have her deliver a talk titled Decade 21 Transformational Plans. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and many congratulations to all of you in NIT to start this path-breaking initiative called the WIN-NIT. And I think it's much needed because if you have to be in it, you need to win it. And to be in WIN-NITT, I guess the men and women engineers of REC, NIT should be part of this group. So Congratulations, Director, for launching this. I think being a woman a director, I think your perseverance has really paid off. And I don't think any other director would have even thought of such initiatives, which would call for a very inclusive development of women and men who are part of REC as students. Having said this, I think my topic today is DK21. Just to give you a background about me, yes, you did say that I did play some 360 whatever, but I did start my career as a developer. I used to be a mainframe specialist, and of course then I moved on to pursue my MBA and worked in various avatars before becoming the first woman corporate officer in HCL. I'm one among the 14 officers who are directly reporting to the board and the CX, and we are in the CXO category right now. And you rightly mentioned that it's important to play different roles, and Decade 21 is all about it. I have certain things about what's going to happen in Decade 21, largely in careers and technologies. While you might be exposed well to the technologies and the changing landscape in technologies and how you need to cope in coming years, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about the career streams that are emerging, the ways of working that's going to change, and pretty much what you as young women engineers, as well as the men engineers who are part of this group, should get geared for. And at the end, I would like to connect how this WIN-NITT initiative will support people getting into the decade 21 as young engineers. See, the pandemic has taught a lot of things to us, how to manage uncertainties, how to cope with uncertainties, how to run the business, how to bring trust across virtual teams. How do you still, excel in your delivery wherever you are and meeting with customer expectations? It has helped a whole lot of us in terms of how to manage our work and life priorities. It's nothing to do with women, work and life. I always say, as much as women are impacted by work and life continuity, so are men. So there's no difference between men and women when it comes to work-life continuity. In this generation, the Gen Millennium is very different. So I'm not here to talk about my old stories and say, how did I manage and so on. I do strongly believe the young men and women of this generation, starting 2000, has a very different way of managing themselves. But what's most important is to succeed in Decade 21, having your ability to cope with changing technologies. Number one, you need to know more and more on the concept of work is going to change. I think people are no longer going to get worried about you coming into office every day in your whatever formal suits and stuff like that, and then you start delivering. I think the work is going to be delivered from where we have intelligent workers. So the first and foremost concept that the students in this room should learn is what is intelligent and what is being smart worker. And for that, it's very important that whichever organization you're going to join in the coming years, you should first check with HR how your appraisals are going to get done. How is your productivity going to be measured? Because most of it is going to be virtual. Your manager is not going to supervise you. And you don't want to run your work based on managers' perceptions, but clearly measured on very, very important metrics that is directly proportional to the quality of the work that you deliver. It's not about 8 hours and 9 hours of the job, but it is about the quality of work that you will be delivering within the fixed time frame that is given to you. So I think that is very important for you to understand that how are you going to be measured on your work. Number two is the minute you know how are you going to be measured, you will also start changing your throughput. You will be much more clear in asking what is it to be delivered, who is your audience, who else is in your group, where are your group members present. Is it a 24/7 kind of continuum work that you're going to do with your people? So you become location independent, you become culture independent, you also become technology independent. in the coming years about how you deliver. So whatever the concept of DevOps and concept of Agile that you've been taught so far in your engineering group, whether you're going to be operating out of a shop floor, whether you're going to deliver from your home, being an IT engineer, it doesn't matter. You're going to be more and more agile. But the concept of agility is not what you're being taught in the class anymore. I think it will take exactly 15 to 20 days maximum if you are very smart to understand what it means to deliver in an agile work environment. That you should sense when you get into your jobs. You cannot take your textbooks and start mapping what you have read in the textbooks to what is happening in the environment, because each company is going to be very unique in defining what it means to have an agile work environment. So, agile and agility in your thinking and the way you deliver is going to be very different in Decade 21. So, be smart and be shrewd and always sense the ground as to what is happening and how dynamically your environment is changing and how quickly you need to bring that agility thinking in your customer conversations, in building your solutions, in building your teams, and also presenting yourself at the right time. And that's important as part of the Decade 21. The third important aspect which you need to know is more and more the concept of gig workers is going to come into the workplace. So as I speak to you, I head a business, and and it's kind of it's cut across geographies. And when I have to create my workforce, there is a certain percentage of my workers which is always going to be gig workers. I'm not going to expect them to come to regular office, work from 9 to 6, and then become full-time employees. And I start working around the benefits of a full-time employee. Not at all. I'm just going to look at people who can deliver quantum of work with the quantum technology space, and then would come in only for fixed number of hours. You will deliver, then you may just go and become an artist. You may be a part-time artist, you may be a part-time dancer, you may be whatever it is. There's no question asked. But you are there for fixed amount of time as part of gig worker, and then you come in. So the concept of gig workers is going to be the mantra of Decade 21, and of course for the next 10 years. So the next 20 years of your concept, understand what it means to be a gig worker and to work in a gig economy. The fourth important point I want you, as especially the women in this group, and the reason as to why we have created WIN-NITT, I think that's something you need to know, is the concept of virtual water coolers. You all would have heard of what water cooler conversations are all about. So we just go and fetch a cup of coffee, we go and have a glass of water, then you start meeting people there and you start picking up conversations. Of course, you're all in social media. That's very different. But the water cooler concepts are conversations are very different from what you're doing in your virtual media as part of networking. There are certain signals that you're going to pick up. There are certain things you're going to say, oh, okay, this is a kind of business coming into my organization. Here are my opportunities. Oh, looks like I need to really be upskilled now. Otherwise, I'm going to lose the race. When I get upskilled, I also need to be cross-skilled in certain functional domains. Looks like I'm a financial services expert, but I do see something is really emerging in healthcare post-pandemic, and I cannot afford to just focus on my financial services as a domain. So where do I get opportunity to start sharpening my saw and then move into healthcare? So the virtual water coolers, and how do you participate in the virtual water coolers, and also prioritizing which water cooler that you need to go first would become very important. So these are the four mantras or the four important skills beyond the concepts that you have learned. In my view, you need to get to learn while you are getting into the workforce as Decade 21, the whole industry 4.0 or a 5.0, which will soon emerge as we in the next couple of years. Be smart, sense what is going on around you, sharpen your saw as and when it and when it appears. As you see, start sharpening your saw. And finally, participate in networks like WIN-NITT. Come to alumni like us and say, hey, I can't identify a water cooler in my company. Can you tell me who should I talk to and and understand he or she is a gatekeeper so I can tap in more opportunities? And how do I get more agile? How do I get myself quickly upskilled? How do I also, irrespective of where I work, I become much more agile? But what do I do? And I want to manage my work life balance. I'm getting into my life cycle inflection point. But how do I turn myself into a gig worker for X period of time so that I come back and bounce back, take a leadership position, and become a full time employee as well? So think of all these elements. It's very, very different in the coming years. So wish you all the best. And I know NIT always produces the best in class engineers. I'm not at all concerned about your intelligence, but I'm more concerned about you being street smart. Get street smart in a better way, in an agile way in decade 21. And you're all set to conquer the world. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Indeed, the COVID-19 pandemic has really pushed us to go out of our comfort zone and question the strategies that we thought were the only strategies so far. And they forced us to adapt to changing times, changing technologies, changing situations. And indeed, whatever you said was like a lot of new strategies that we should try to bring in to wherever we go. So thank you so much once again for that very engaging talk. So we'll now move on to our next speaker, Mrs. Revati Kant. So Mrs. Revati Kant, this is her philosophy. From input and operational cause to manufacturing or coding, great designers understand the intersections between their work and the many other disciplines and practices. This philosophy is the philosophy that drove Mrs. Revati Kant, an alumnus of Regional Engineering College, now NIT Trichy, from the MSc Operations Research Department, to achieve the zenith of success in design after switching over after her 10-year-long marketing career. Zenith of success in design, you ask? Oh, yes. She is the Chief Design Officer at Titan Company Limited, one of the largest watchmakers in the world that has also forayed into jewelry, eyewear, and fragrances. She commands a team of 95 designers, product designers, technical designers, engineers, trend researchers, graphic designers, and UX UI designers. We are so privileged to have her here with us today, here to talk about innovating business strategies through design. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sandhya. Good morning, everybody. Director Dr. Minnie Thomas, my co-panelists, and my dear young friends. It's my absolute pleasure to be here today. I mean, I'm really connecting with NIT after ages, so it's a kind of a mixed feeling. There's a sense of nostalgia. At the same time, I feel hugely responsible. So thank you for having me, and it's fabulous to be here and to be listening. I mean, Srimati, that was a wonderful take on what's coming for the young students. And a very big congratulations to all of you for launching WIN-NITT. I think it's indeed a great initiative and truly need of the hour. And as you all have said, and as I heard Dr. Minnie mention in her opening remark, it's also about uplifting women by women. You know, it's like something special, and it's about mentoring, co-mentoring, ensuring that women really make it big. And I think it's a fantastic initiative, and all the very best to all of you to really make it successful, so that we see more and more women come up in career, more and more women in leadership position as we go along. Well, I have been invited here to speak about a topic which is of great interest to me, and it's over a period of time, it's become my career. It's about innovating business strategies through design. So before I get into that, and I know our topic today, it's more about women and leaders and how to get women to that position. So I would like to take it as a story, give some kind of nuggets as to how this has happened. And the very first thing I wish to talk about is design and me. From the introduction, you must have figured out that I passed out of NIT, REC then, and I did my master's in operations research and computer science. So no way connected to design in any manner. So when I graduated and I did my postgrad from there, I never thought I was ever going to be where I am today. And frankly, if you ask me, there is absolutely no connection with what I studied then and what I'm doing today. But what NIT did give me, or what REC did give me, is really the passport to enter an industry. Really, the name, the reputation of this institution greatly helped, propelled in my career. And thanks to the institute, I mean, I was fortunate. There was a campus recruitment to do the internship. I got in there, and the rest, as you say, is history. And I have been with the company for the last 30 years. And all you young guys would wonder, what is this? I mean, staying in one company for 30 years, it's not real, right? Today, you don't stay for more than 2 years in one company. But fortunately for me, I've had the opportunities to move around, do multiple things, different functions, different divisions, and get a very holistic kind of an experience across. Started off my career as a market researcher, then moved to marketing, international markets, did all of that. And that was almost consumed half of my career. The first 15 years of my life, I was very much into mainline business and looking at it. And when I came back to India, I think around 2005, I really wanted to do something different, something where I can really show some kind of a huge impact. And that's when this opportunity came by design. And, at that point in time, 15 years back, design was not really where it is, at least in title. It was definitely not there. It was considered as a function. Design was just a function. Design was more like, a support function of marketing and stuff. And when I was given this opportunity, I myself was very skeptical if I was doing the right thing. But coming from the background of business, looking at marketing, looking at consumers, looking at all that is required, one could figure out that there is a great opportunity which exists if I could take it up and make it big. And that's how this whole journey and this connection started. And so when I just took up the role for the first time as a design head, one did not know what exactly is expected of you. So that's great of an organization to give you all the freedom, all the the chances to experiment and do things, which helped me to figure out that this is indeed a field where we can do wonders. So frankly, I mean, I will cut the story short to tell you that the opportunity to do something very different, when you yourself do not trust, the organization trusts you to do something, you really get it in you to say that, let me do something and let's see if we can make a huge impact. So what I would call myself to, that's how the whole journey started. And I've been associated with the field of design for the last 15 years. I could call myself a design and innovation strategist, an evangelist, someone who's working very closely with design to really bring it to the center of business, to bring design to the main table of discussion and really bring design, which is so critical, to be noticed by all. And that's been the journey, and that's been a fabulous journey. And here I am today. So actually, I didn't qualify as designer or any such thing, but it is the world of design and the world of business, the connect, which can really work wonders, has been what I have been doing. So I would just quickly like to say that from this part of my journey to my dear young friends, it's I think my suggestion or my recommendation would be, when you take up a new opportunity, when you graduate out, go into employment, go into the industry, don't just settle down. Don't love the very first thing you're doing. Of course, put in all your passion and love to do it well, but just experiment, take risks, move around, get a great exposure, because you really don't know what is your hidden potential, where you can make all the difference, So don't just think that I am great at this and just settle down that for all your career. Keep moving, keep checking, take risks, make things happen, seize every opportunity that comes your way, work it out. You lose nothing, but you gain a holistic understanding, and it's actually, career is a journey. Career is a self-discovery process wherein at some stage you figure out that I'm great at this, I'm just loving what I'm doing, and I'm able to hugely make an impact on the organization. And so with that, I will move on to the main part of my talk today. So this is how I connected with design, and I have taken it forward for the last 15 years. So let me tell all of you, because I know most of you here are from the field of tech and you're all engineers. And I would like to actually demystify design. Unfortunately, there is a lot of misconception around design, and people think design, something looks beautiful, they say, yeah, beautifully designed. But does it mean that design is just superficial? Design is not just aesthetics. It's much, much more than aesthetics. Actually, in this 15 years, I have actually established that it is the most valuable strategic asset an organization can have in times like these, when changes happen every day. And design is really the true differentiator. When all things are democratized, the costs, the technology, and all of that, what truly differentiates is design. So design is so much more integral. Designing and design thinking are two very, very crucial aspects of this. And I'm sure you as engineers today must be using design thinking as a solution, as a providing tool. It is actually helps you to solve all problems. And how did design thinking come about? The very first, it simply put, it was think like designers. And how do designers think? It's all about divergence. It's all about exploration. And then you converge to find a solution. So design is also about looking at multiple aspects of it and coming up with the optimal solution for any problem. The problem could be the needs and aspiration of today's consumer. The problem could be the best experience you want to create with your app. It could be anything. So design is there to solve problems. Of course, design, if something is designed, it has to look good. So aesthetics are very important. So design is actually a combination of form and function. It is not form at the cost of function. So the whole thing about designing and is about looking at things holistically, coming up with solutions to make a big difference. So it is not something which is very superficial. And what it is important is, while design has been there, and it's such a, I was just thinking about it a few minutes back. We are talking about women. We are talking about, this WIN-NITT work. We are talking about inclusivity. We are talking about women, their capability. Why are not so many women up there? It's, it's a coincidence that I was thinking, yeah, design is like that, was like that. So design, everybody knows design is very crucial. Design is very important, but design is not at the center of the table. Design is not up there. It was not up there. And in many organizations, it is still not there. So it's still considered as a support function. But working towards it and ensuring and demonstrating results is the best way to make things work and bring design really to the top. And that's been my journey. I've been working very hard, trying to make people believe and demonstrating and giving business results to see that how can you unleash a new potential with a strategic asset like design. So in a 10-minute talk, I won't be able to demonstrate or show you something where design has worked wonders, but I just want to plant this thought in your head that the whole thing of creativity, and if you talk of design, think of solving problems creatively. So there is no that, where we all come from mathematics, this is the problem, this is the solution. But when you look at a world of real life problems, there is no one solution to any problem. There are multiple solutions. Which is the optimal one we should choose to go ahead with, given your set of constraints, is what one really needs to see. So why are we saying design is strategic? I mean, why is it to, even think about it as why should design be strategic, and why has it become strategic? So you could be in any field. It could be, in the field of a product or retail or digital, in any kind of business. What is the role of design? The role of design is really to enhance user experience. So if you're creating an app, the whole thing, what are you trying to figure out? How do you design the interaction part of it? How is the UI? How is the UX? How are you defining the experiences so that the end result which the user gets is of top quality. It is ultimate. So this has to be designed. This has to be thought through. And how does it work? It doesn't. Design can never work in isolation. The two, three important things for a design to be successful is to understand whom you are creating for. It could be a product, a service, and even this WIN-NITT, what you're doing. I mean, whatever you do, I mean, you're doing it for somebody, for a target audience, for a consumer segment. I mean, getting that clarity, getting deep insights about that particular consumer segment is really the starting point. So having understood the segment, having understood their, the aspirations, their needs, their lack, their latent wishes, all of that gives food for thought to understand, okay, if this is what this is what it looks like, what is it that we need to do? The other most important thing in design to be considered are the trends. All of us, I mean, we are all consumers and we are all impacted by macro trends, and a whole lot of mega trends, starting with mega trends, macro trends, and all of that. And we have seen last year, the pandemic year has really changed lives in a very big way. So the trends which are impacting us now are different from what was happening over a period of time. So as in a field of design, to be very sensitive to the changes which are happening in a daily life, which impact people, is very, very critical for the design to be sensitive about. So constantly looking at that, fine-tuning it for the audience whom you create, and having a great inspiration. So the three critical things which can define any design, it could be your interaction design, it could be a product design, it could be a service design, it could be anything. Before implementing it, it needs to be something which can flow seamlessly, which can actually create a great user experience. That's really the role of design. So when we do something, what and why should it become strategic? Design is, of course, what is the true differentiator today? Everybody talks about Apple and their products, and we pay a premium, and there is a big fan following, and all of that. Of course, there is a brand imagery of Apple, but at the soul of it is sitting the product design of Apple, which everybody loves. So the whole thing is about building, differentiating oneself, and design is one thing which can help you really differentiate from others. Design helps you to build value to the consumer. How do you provide that kind of a value to the consumer? Definitely improves profitability if you were to play the game right and create products which can be hugely, profitable. So really builds to the top line and the bottom line, and of course enhances imagery. So all of these are very, very critical aspects of design, which are very, very important from a business point of view. And the whole world of design and the world of business, they are actually very much interlinked and they are aligned. And when we are able to kind of align the two for maximum impact, that's when it's unleashed. So just to take a quick example of the company where I have worked all through my life, which is Titan. And when I joined Titan, it was a single brand, single category company. We made only watches, Titan Watches, and Titan Watches Limited was even the name of the company. And today, as we speak, Titan has diversified into watches, multiple brands in watches, jewelry, eyewear, fragrances, accessories, and saris. And the credit to Titan is we always believe in creating our own brands, our own products. We are as much a product company as we are a retail company. So I hope, and I'm sure that some of you would have experienced some of our brands somewhere or the other, because we are in most of the lifestyle categories, where at the heart of every brand is the product, and the heart of every product is really the design of the product. So what you create and new products. So there are, of course, metrics. The new products you create and how much of the impact is coming from new products. How many new consumers do walk in? How much is it adding through the business? How is the sell-through of every product? So there are very objective metrics which help you measure the impact of design. So this has been a thing. While it's at least at Titan, it's considered very important. But in India, I would say, unlike other countries, design is still not reached there. And since I am talking to academia, and since you're all students, I would like to end it by saying this, that with the given objective of Atmanirbhar Bharat and self-reliant India, it is manufacturing. If you got to create a world-class manufacturing hub, manufacturing in India is a great thing. It needs to be preceded by design in India. And hence, a lot more of people to be more sensitive to this aspect of design, of form, function, aesthetics, consumer experiences, all of that. I'm sure most of you guys are engineers. So I think the need of the hour is for engineers to become a lot more creative. That is, for engineers to think a lot more like designers. And also there is a need for designers to understand a lot of, the engineering aspect of it. Today, from an industry perspective, I see that as silos. There are these great colleges like NIT and a whole lot of engineering colleges where we have very good quality engineers passing out from. And then we have institutes like NID where we have got great designers. And there is a gap. And when you finally come to an industry, we clearly say design is upstream, manufacturing is downstream. What about midstream? That is where the gap is. So I think something for you to think about, something for you to ponder about, because when we become a world-class manufacturing hub and when we start doing it, we need to bring in the creativity, we need to bring in the sensitivity of a consumer thinking, even amongst engineers, so that you could create something which would be the most desirable experience for the consumers. So in my closing, I would just like to say to all my young friends, doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter. Set your sights just up there and do whatever is there in you, the best power in you, unleash it and make it work for you. And you will be very, very successful. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I actually got reminded of an article that I read last year, which talks about the striking parallels between MacGuffin theory and design. So the MacGuffin theory states that the value of a prop in a play doesn't just, it's not just the object itself, but the motivation and the characterization that the actors in the play give to it. So in a similar way, even design, a value for good design is not just the design of the product, but I think it's about the conversation that it brings about, the discussions, and the understanding of it ignites. So thank you, ma'am. I think it resonates this. Thank you once again for a very thought-provoking talk.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mrs. Shanti Venkatraman. I would like to welcome her. She is a proud alumnus of NIT Trichy of the 1986 to 90 batch with a degree in electrical, electronics and communication engineering. She stood first in her state in the school board exams before joining our institute. After spending a 14-year stint in the manufacturing sector and heading various teams over the years, she is currently the Director of Delivery Excellence at Womxn. She has a career with the use of data-driven process for business benefits spanning over 20 years. She has a certified Six Sigma Black Belt in statistics. She is a lead auditor for ISO quality standards and CMMI model assessments. She also has a tremendous expertise in quantitative analytical techniques, predictive model building, and deployment. Today, we are very excited to have you here to enlighten us about data key to transform future of technology. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. A very good morning and right at good noon, I think, to all of you. Heartiest congratulations for setting up WIN-NITT and NIT, right? So we always, NIT, we have the habit of winning, starting something new. So I'm sure it will set trends for the other institutes as well. So heartiest congratulations to the director, madam, and the entire student council. So yeah, I feel very privileged and honored to be connecting back to the institution today. It's a very great honor and privilege because this topic is close to my heart, and so is the university, right? So I should also thank Revati and Srimati for their wonderful lectures, and they also set trends of how important data is in our life. So with that, I'll probably get started. So I would start with a quote from Deming, who is the quality guru, who says that, in God we trust, rest all please bring data, right? So that is the quote, in God we trust, rest all please bring data. So this shows the importance of data in our day-to-day lives, right? So data is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, just like God. So that is the power given to data. And knowingly or unknowingly, right from our childhood, we have been using data in our day-to-day lives, right? So what is data all about? I think we all understand, but I just wanted to give a clear definition. So it is an objective representation of observed facts. So that is data all about. So it is not something that we are creating out of memory or something, right? We are just stating an event that happened in quantitative terms. So that is data all about. And data, when you talk about it, right, we use it for our day-to-day decision making. And our entire lives, at whatever age we are, and probably we don't want to reveal our ages here, whatever age we are, we have gone through multiple milestones for which we have been taking lot of decisions in a timely manner, right? And decisions make our life. It may be good or it may be a learning, whatever it may be. But what did we base our decisions on? So some decisions could be right as simple as which parlor do you go for a grooming today? What are the offers that are there? And what is the course that you take post your graduation? Do we do further higher studies or join a job? So many decisions that we take. Where do we invest? Which company to join? So all of these decisions are made up of some influencing facts, right? You do your homework. You joined NIT Trichy by your hard preparation and homework to all the dear students here. It was not by accident, right? It was just that we all planned for it. So why did we choose NIT Trichy? We chose it based on certain quantitative credentials. So when you base decisions in your life based on data, that becomes more authentic and powerful and repeatable as well. And that is why data is extremely important. So starting from your grades, pass percentage in school, and all over that, the COVID numbers, should we take a COVID vaccine, etc. Everywhere numbers determine what we need to do as a next step. So this is about the importance of data on a primary phase, right? So we all understand that. Now, there are, some pointers that I just wanted to also touch upon, that, data as such is very powerful, but what makes it more powerful is the reliability and the underlying measurement, right? For example, we know that some of our education systems, we know people who have scored 100%, 99%, etc. So we all can argue, is that a measure of knowledge? Is there something else to measure knowledge, etc.? I'm just giving an example, which is an abstract thing, right? But however, the way of recording marks on giving grades, if that is made robust, definitely a CGPA is an indicator of one person's knowledge, right? So that is a very important thing for us. So what I mean to say is, while data is powerful, equally powerful thing is the underlying measurement system, which has to be objective, and complete subjectivity has to be eliminated out of it. And there should be no bias, right? So that is the most important thing when it comes to a data system. That is about what we understand on the basics of data. Now coming back to where we are today, right? Where it is today, we are in a digital world. All of us are in a digital world. So it is very happy to connect, and from the morning, and we all come from little bit of that legacy that you feel comfortable connecting to people one-on-one, right? But days are gone, so we have to check your connectivity. All of that, I was getting a little bit worked up to set it up. All of us switched off all of the devices and things like that to make sure the network was working. So in a digital world, we know that, jokingly we keep saying that, Swiggy is our mother, Paytm is our father, and Google is our guru these days, right? When you feel hungry, someone places an order, and you don't need people next to you to do it. So when given that, we are in a virtual world, it becomes all the more important for us to may take data-driven decisions, right? So, and that data is so powerful, and the time of, the time you spend in browsing something on a Facebook or, Netflix or a YouTube, they prompt saying that these are the suggested videos for you based on how long you spend in doing certain things. So they take lot of clues about it, and that also brings us to an important point about data security, right? So you have to also make sure, while data is powerful, data gives everything. But what is important is you cannot share all, and we all know most of us would have read a lot of articles in the papers that talk about how data breach and data security things are also very, very critical. So we have to just kind of have a great emphasis around that as well. So be very prudent in sharing data. Now, coming back to that, we know digital world, it is important. Reliability of data, measurement systems are important. All of that said, Now, how do we apply data to business, right? I'll just talk about that and talk about what are important for you as students to look at those aspects of data analysis and quality when it comes to future. Now, when it comes to any business, starting from a kirana shop to a corporate, we all do business for profitability, right? I think there have been no two questions about it. There are certain other objectives, but all of us want to have a profitable growth in business. Now, when we have to have a profitable growth, what is very important is that we need to have productive people. Srimati touched upon that in the new world, right? With gig workers and work from home scenarios, we need to have productive workers. So productivity is one of the measurements, and data is very crucial here. The other thing that we want is time is the essence, right? We don't want us to repeat someone's failure, so that we learn lessons on once again and go through all their experiences, right? So we have a collated learning thing, and we also kind of want to do this prediction earlier based on whatever is the past failure. So in business, what happens is you understand the past with data, you control the present and predict the future. Those are the three aspects of data, right? So it is actually coming from, you understand the past, whatever someone's experiences collated in the form of data. Then you control the present. How do we kind of monitor it now and make sure that in future we don't repeat the same error, so that we don't go through the same failure mode. So that is a very important aspect when it comes to application of data in business. And the other second aspect of data is about consistency, right? So we all know that average lies. In statistics, we say that average lies, LIES, right? And it also lies down. So we can relate to it with some examples in cricket, right? If someone has a batting average of 50, having scored 10 25s and 10 hundreds, right? Definitely he's not a consistent batsman, versus someone who has been scoring between 50 and 60 in all the 10 or 20 matches. So he is much more consistent, and business wants consistent, vendors, right? We don't want people to deliver super duper one day, fail another day, then come back super duper another day. We don't have time to even work on these things. So for consistency, variability has to be reduced. So data talks about that aspect as well. So if we have to put it all together when it comes to data, the first and foremost thing is you should have a data collection plan. And data, by the way, we call it as data science in business. There's a lot of potential and market for data scientists and data security professionals. But I would also say that data is a part of an art as well, right? You should know how to analyze data, use data in the right sense, etc. So it is a mixture of art and science. Now, to have a data, and it is a skill as well, right? Each one of you, whichever discipline of engineering or science that you would have been coming through, having data analysis as one of the skills in you is extremely crucial, and which involves deep empathy towards mathematics and understanding of the underlying data. And there are 7 QC tools or statistical tools that I would urge each one of you to probably reinforce yourself on. I'm sure you must have had it as part of your school, college, curriculum, etc. But please, those are the 7 QC tools are check sheet, which is a good template for data collection. That is the most important thing when it comes to data, right? Having to collect the right data with the right operation, definition, frequency, etc. So a check sheet is important. Having collected that data, we put it on a scatter plot. So that will give us some very interesting patterns, and that is where the art and skill of data come into play. And then having put that, we kind of look at patterns or combinations to see a behavior of data, right? How does some sections, for example, people who have come from this school, this area, do better in this discipline than a set of people in others, kind of, right? It throws up some interesting insights and patterns, because data collection is just one part of it. Taking business decisions from data, you need some of these skills, right? So you put it on a scatter plot, which is a simple Excel. You put it and it will show up. So scatter plot is the next tool that you should be familiar with. After we do the scatter plot, we try and group them into frequencies, right? To kind of look at histograms, patterns, etc. And then the most important tool that I would urge you to look at is the Pareto principle, right? So what NIT is also a kind of a science and fact that 80% of the world's problems come from 20% of the causes. So that, and it is a fact, it's a proven science, and you can test it any number of times. So if you just address the vital few issues in your area of work or business, you can address 80% of the problems in your organization, portfolio, whatever. So the Pareto principle, that is a third thing, so which you can enrich yourself on. And the last one, there are other three things about control chart, stratification, cause and effect, etc. But I would really emphasize on the cause and effect. I will type out the 7 QZ tools on the screen as well in a while, just so that you all remember, right? But the cause and effect is the most interesting, and that's the most important thing, right? Any outcome of business or an education institution, even this WIN-NITT, right? For example, we are saying if you are going to talk about number of mentors and mentees as your success factor, or the mentoring ratio as your success factor metric, what is very critical is you call it as Y, and you identify what are the influencing factors. And there is no single problem or issue in this world which is not bounded by Y is equal to F of X, right? So that is the equation you need to establish, and you have your Y, what is your focus or what is your objective, correct, quantitatively defined, and you identify the influencing factors through the cause and effect, which is Y is equal to F of X1, X2, X3, etc. So sorry for getting a little bit technical, but I think these are the very, very important things that you should keep in mind, so that, we are able to kind of look at how do we govern or look at our entire thing. So when you are able to establish a problem and solution or cause and effect in terms of Y is equal to F of X, so you just work on the X's and get the Y improved, and you can see this magic happen if you have a complete understanding of the underlying data. So my request to all the dear students here is, see, it is data and analytics is a skill, right? It is a very, very important skill that you need to acquire, whichever field you are going to take up. Even if you are getting into clinical research or clinical data study, whatever. So you, to understand the ground that you are in, you should know where you stand, and that is where data comes in very handy to understand. And you have to solve the problem of Y is equal to F of X, or arrive at the equation, control X and improve Y. So that is the entire thing. When it comes to data trends and so if you look at it, right, with work from home, and you take all other disruptions or good disruptions, I can put it, that we are going to have in future, for all of them this data is only going to assume a lot more importance. So I would urge you to sharpen your axe, as Srimati rightly put it, in terms of data analytical skills. Now, from a technology perspective, we have Azure ML, Python, automated machine learning, Internet of Things, the whole bunch of data science, 7 or 8 items that you can even Google and find out. But the most important thing there is about data security, wherein, how do you protect the underlying data when you are a data scientist, to make sure that you don't breach, the boundaries of data security and data sharing, and also come out with good analytical solutions, right? So the whole cycle of starting with a business problem, getting into converting that into a statistical problem or a quantified problem, and come out with a business solution, the entire cycle, depending on the nature of problem, shouldn't take more than 4 to 6 weeks. And that is something that you people can pick up and do. And we are going to have a lot more challenges, positively I'm saying, right, which are going to demand our thoughts and application of data in a very big way. So my request to all of you, all the students, both boys, girls, anybody, right, to inherit the skill, undergo data science certification, etc., to keep you always. I mean, this is something that is never going to die in the future. As long as mankind lives, data is going to live. So that is how I wanted to conclude. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And one last thing, I just wanted to thank all my friends, this excellent institution, and probably almighty that I have been one of those privileged people who have been working in the field of my passion right from my school days. Mathematics used to be my most favorite subject until probably with at this age of 53, when I'm working in Cognizant. I'm still continuing to work with Max, and I hope I do it till the end of my career. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Wishing you all the best. Stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Your talk was very insightful and informative, and we all hope that you continue to work on your passion. And I'm sure your talk has inspired all the students that have tuned into this event. Thanks again, ma'am. Our next speaker is one of my recent inspirations. She has a very positive, inspiring, and dynamic personality, which is very infectious in a good way. I would like to welcome Mrs. Maggie Ingamutaya. She is the CEO of Papatica Media, founder of Happy Feet, and the former managing director of Anita B. Orr, and is a proud alumnus of NIT Trichy from the 1996 batch. A postgraduate in HR Management and Organizational Behavior from University of London, and a computer science engineer from NIT Trichy. She is an athlete, a yoga practitioner, and a teacher. She has previously worked with corporations including ANZ, Infosys, and Dell. She is an avid entrepreneur. She is the co-founder of Mandram, a platform to curate talks and ideas in native languages. She is also the co-founder of Employee Experts and Optimus Prime Solution. She has recently founded Happy Feet, her new venture to pursue her love for trekking. Having believed in ensuring equal opportunity for all, regardless of gender, social status, and background, she has always longed to do something different where she can see the impact of her work up close. We're extremely delighted to have her with us today to talk about diversity, inclusion, and equity in technology. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Navina, and thanks to Sandhya and team for being the background gears to put it all together. And I want to start with a big thanks to Director Ma'am. We've come a very long way. When I was in college in the final year, that was the first time we had someone to represent the women in the campus placements. So the campus rep team, which typically will have somebody from every department as part of it. That was the first time we said, okay, we need to have someone just to make sure all the girls are entering the campus interviews and are getting placed. And, I was the campus rep for the women's hostel, for the women's batch in my batch. From that, I'm just thinking how far we have come today to launch this. And this is something, it's a year's worth of work. We started talking about it in 2020. And of course, COVID pushed back a lot of things, but Director Ma'am kept at it. She would come back to us every few weeks and say, what are we doing? What are we doing? And here we are launching this formally. And I'm really, really happy to be here, to be part of this today. And Srimati, Revati and Shanti, such inspiring talks. I'm very grateful to be in your presence and to be talking along with you on the same stage today. My talk today, there are two pieces to it. One is about the diversity, inclusion, and equity in technology, and then really breaking the stereotypes. I'm going to, talk about these two things. I'll start with the word equity itself, right, and how far technology as an industry has come here, and what are the challenges you will face as you go into the industry. All said and college is a bubble. I mean, there are certainly things we come across even when we are students, but as students, there is a lot of ambition, there is a lot of confidence, and there is a lot of support, honestly speaking, to at least believe that we can get to where we can get to, right? And whereas the reality is that even in as late as last week, in one of the groups I am in, someone from Microsoft said, I have this wonderful technology role open, but I'm not getting any women to apply for it. And there was a beautiful program that was being run for women entrepreneurs with a huge grant that were being awarded. It was not for just women entrepreneurs, it was for all entrepreneurs in a young age, 0 to 5 years work experience is what that program was being run. And I heard that 0 women applied for it. So this is a problem I hear wherever I go is we just don't have women showing up for us to be able to even hire them and have them represent in the industry. Now, why do we even need women in all these places? I'm going to talk about one woman who many of you might have heard in the recent past. Is everyone aware of Dr. Swati Mohan? If not, you should look her up. So Dr. Swati Mohan is the brains behind launching the rover to Mars. She's the head of the team who made it all happen. Now, when women get behind technology and can make technology decisions, the entire world becomes a lot more inclusive. The reason I say that is today our world is governed by technology. Everything we do, Shanti ma'am just talked about how Swiggy is the mother, right? It's Swiggy or Google Pay or anything we do, right from making our payments, getting our food delivered, talking to our friends, and especially because of COVID, it's all because of technology. We also talked about the bias, especially in the data science session, how the kind of data we use and what we use to make these decisions, right? I can ask all of you to do this simple experiment. You go into Google and search for women and technology, just the two words. Depending on who you are, the algorithm will return different kind of search results. Men, if the Google identifies the users and the Chrome browser knows who's logged in, if the person is a man, it's going to return a certain difference of results versus if the person is a woman. Or go into Google Maps and search for the word retail and see what kind of stores it returns you, right? There are algorithms that are based on how we use technology, and hence it's a feedback loop, and it comes back to tell us, recommend us what we should buy or what we should look for, even what kind of information we have access to. And this is where it becomes important for us to have women as part of the team writing these algorithms so that they are not biased and they're able to bring objective results for anyone who's getting into these systems. And the word equity becomes very important here because equity talks about the opportunity, not necessarily equality. Equality can get a little bit more difficult to implement, or even something, it's a bigger challenge than equity. Equity, I think, is really the root cause of where we are and why we are here. Equity means having access to the same opportunities, irrespective of gender. Again, we have come a long way. And especially, and I keep going back to my years at NIT Trichy, because every colleague I had, in terms of every women student who studied with me, every single one of them was very powerful, very vocal, and we didn't shy away from asking for what we wanted. One of the things which was an impediment at that time, which is not an impediment anymore, that's why I'm saying we've come a long way, is the access to the computing resources, right? We had the new Octagon, it was really new at that time. Of course, there are jokes about why we would go there in the sun and to get water. If there is no water coming in the hostels, you would see people going there. But that apart, women hostels, we had to be back by 9:30 p.m., whereas the boys did not have that as an issue. So simply the access to computing resources had this huge gap because of the societal setup we are in. And when that will translate to what? It will translate to how I perform academically, how I answer questions in my interview to be able to get a job. And later, this just, the gap becomes wider and wider because of these kind of issues we probably are not even aware of. So the entire diversity, inclusion, and equity problem is very layered. What we see is the numbers. And this number, unfortunately, is still true, is the percentage of women who are actually there making technology decisions and being part of the technology workforce. Many of us who are out there working are so used to being the only woman in the team that it's almost like a normal thing. It doesn't even strike as something, incongruent to us. But that is not right? I mean, having 50-50% in the population, we have 50% men and 50% women. We should have a similar mix in the workforce also. But if you start looking at the numbers give us a clue, but the numbers don't solve the problem. The problem cannot be solved just by getting trying to hire more women and having quotas. I mean, those are all steps in the positive direction, but they don't really solve the issue. What we solve is looking at what are the layers below that. Is everyone getting access to technology in terms of knowledge, in terms of getting a technology education, in terms of getting an opportunity to even apply for technology roles? So access. And how can access come? Through exposure. Is looking at what is what is the barrier? Is it language? Is it the culture? One of the strangest things I heard was there are a lot of families that people can afford the latest cell phones or mobile data, right? Because this was a research we did to understand how much digital inclusion is lying out there, not only from a technology workforce perspective, but overall access to technology perspective, especially in India. This was during the COVID times we did this research, because with COVID, everybody had to go back to online. We want to understand if gender plays a role in what this online means. One of the first people I reached out to was a director ma'am, and she said there was a survey run in college and they were quite comfortable with how it came back, and that students, all students had equal access to technology. But that's not the case in the larger society. 10% of Indian households have access to a laptop. And even in households that can afford access to laptops and mobile phones, there is a cultural barrier against a woman spending time on Facebook or LinkedIn or any other social media for that matter. The access is very strictly governed by the cultural norms. So there is culture, there is language, there is where you live, which city you come from. Once we were interviewing for roles in one of my startups, and one of the persons, he was an engineer from Bihar, and he said he was going to apply for BSc Math because he was really good at math, until one of his cousins told him that there is something called engineering that he can apply to and can become an engineer. So where you come from often determines what you have exposure to and what you have access to. The smaller cities in India still happen to be places where a lot of these things don't reach, which is why in Anitaborg, and when I was working there, we would always run codathons for tier 2, tier 3 cities and keep all the major colleges out of the equation to make sure the girls from the smaller places get access to these kind of programs and hence get access to the larger industry and opportunities. So, when we start getting into this wider world, just be aware of all these things, even being sensitive and aware of all of these barriers and the inequalities people have is very important. It just makes you a more sensible person to navigate through all these things and to understand that these two exist in spite of our best intents, and maybe you can play a role in solving some of these things. And coming to breaking stereotypes, given that we are, and as women navigating technology industry, and given the number of people whom we have in leadership positions out there, we are going to be breaking stereotypes. Simply, there is no way around it. Like our mini ma'am is the first woman director for NIT Trichy, and she said she's the only person in academia who's holding such a role. She's broken the stereotype. So if we have to create an inclusive and equal world, we have no choice but to break stereotypes. And what does it really mean? I'm going to just leave you with two thoughts. First one is ask questions, never settle. If you don't see a particular opportunity being offered to you, ask why. If you want to go somewhere and if you cannot find a way to get there, find out how. Keep asking questions. And people will tell you, oh, that is something women have never done. Oh, women just cannot go here. This is very hard. I have had guys walk up to me and say things like, oh, do not hire a woman for this position. It requires long hours. A woman cannot do it. These answers get handed down because of our social setup, our conditioning, generations and generations of living with some of the issues with the society. Things like don't go out after 8 p.m. It is not safe. It sounds very logical, and all of us will probably say, okay, yes, I mean, there is no light and this place does not have a good security. We probably will accept and sit down. But I'm saying don't settle for anything. If going after 8 p.m. is an issue to, solve a problem or do one of your activities, look at how else you can do it. Can you find a safer way to get there? Can you work towards solving the problem of not having lights or security in that place? Or can you do it at a different hour, which is more workable? So never settle for an answer. Ask questions all the time. That is easily said, but it's difficult. But that's the only way for us to make our own way in this world. The second is, and this is very close to what we're doing today, launching this entire mentoring activity, is having your own advisors, people whom you can go to. I think everyone who spoke before me emphasized on having people who help them. So when you go into the industry, there are two ways you can get support. One is mentors. So mentors are people who will guide you, but whose experience you can draw from, but who will also push you to find your own solutions. You could have personal mentors. You could have mentors for specific fields you are passionate in. You could have mentors within the company. So mentors are guides who will help you in many decisions, not just professional, but also personal. And let's just accept it. Yeah, we don't live in a world where these are very separate anymore. Our personal and professional lives are very, very mixed in every step of the way. Um, and the second set of people who are sponsors. Sponsors are typically whom you will find within your organizations, typically your boss or your boss's boss, who totally believes in you and is part of the discussions where decisions are made about who gets the next most challenging project, who gets the next challenging role. And there is someone who's going to add positive points to your candidacy for a particular opportunity. It's important to have both mentors and sponsors for you to get to where you are. And reach out, network, ask, and cultivate these connections so that you can get there. And the simple thing, you may feel a little bit shy. You may feel like, oh my God, I am furthering my own career. Am I allowed to do it? You have to give yourself the permission to allow yourself to do it. It's not about being selfish. It's about being your own advocate. It's about valuing yourself. It's about understanding what is it you can contribute and making sure you do it with people who are willing to support you. Find those people who are willing to support you. It's not a selfish move to do that. Why is it not a selfish move? Because once you are there, you're going to elevate other women to get there as well. You're going to help other girls and other women to navigate this. So it is always paid forward. You probably will not be able to pay it back to these people who helped you, but you can always pay it forward. So there's nothing selfish about it. You are actually contributing to a larger cause and creating a newer world which is diverse and inclusive. That is what I'm going to stop with. I think I definitely went over my 10 minutes. Sorry about that. But yeah, open for the next part of what we're doing into Q&A, I think. Thank you so much for having me and for the opportunity. I always love being part of these discussions.
Thank you, ma'am. That your insights were very lovely, and I'm sure people understood the importance of networking and being an advocate for our own skills. With that, we will move on to the panel discussion part of the forenoon session. I welcome all panelists to join us on screen for the Q&A session. So we have a bunch of questions that we have been, it has been plaguing our minds for a long time now, and it would be lovely to hear your thoughts on them. So my first question would be about this very event. So today we're launching WIN-NITT, and what would your vision be for a community like WIN-NITT, and what are the possible hurdles that you foresee, and your advice on how we can get past it? Srimati ma'am, can you share your insights? Ma'am, I think you're on mute.
I have only 3 asks with this network. One is be serious. Many of us take such networks for granted, and we think it's like a social network, a little bit of creating a WoW factor. It's not so. So if you want to be part of the network, and now that we know the college itself has invested efforts and time with Dr. Thomas herself chairing the whole program. And alumni also
Okay, I
deciding to
think we
spend time.
lost her there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Can I? Now, I was just saying that I think others should go on mute, then you won't have the echo. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just saying that it's important to be serious. If you want to be part of a network like this, where we have the college, the director, and the alumni, and senior cadres of the college trying to invest time and efforts, people who enroll into the network should be serious about this network. That's most important. Second is there must be a sense of purpose. If people enroll into the program, they actually have to put down a specific set of goals that they want to achieve by being part of the network. So it's not about knowing each other, but it's also about what you want to know beyond just knowing. Number two. And number three is certainly this network people should know it's a professional network. It's a your alternate to your LinkedIn. It's an alternate to anything else that you would want to know, even your future Naukri, right? So you're not really going to look at this as your personal network, but this is a professional network. So being serious, putting down in a piece of paper what you want to get out of this network. And number three is seeing this as a professional peer network. I think that would just change the whole scope of looking at what the WIN-NITT is all for. That's my sincere request.
Absolutely, ma'am. Shanti, ma'am, can you share your advices?
Yeah, I'll just probably extend to what Srimati said, right? I think we should have a plan, Navina, right? I mean, it is serious business. We should have a plan. We should probably meet every month, 2 months, something that we agree upon milestones that we should accomplish, right? For example, Director ma'am said that, 100 mentors, 100 mentees, something like that, right? And I am a mathematics person. I always like numbers. So without numbers, we are not serious about anything, right? I mean, it is not that we just meet, have fun, but do something concrete also. But it's a very welcome move. I think we should also have some chit-chatting session, connecting sessions, right? Monthly once, probably last Friday. I'm just saying. We'll have to plan that, connect, and then take it forward. Then I'm sure it will happen. See, anything you start with an end in the mind, right? What Stephen Covey says, right? I'm sure it will all come successful, but we all have to commit to that. I'm definitely ready to invest some time here because this institute made me what I am today. So all of us here, I'm sure, Srimati, all the alumni will be willing to do that. So we would request the reciprocation from your end as well. I think that's what it is.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your advices. Revati, ma'am, would you like to chip in?
Yeah, sure. The typical hazard of any such network is, after initial enthusiasm, it all dies down. And all of us are in multiple things. And like that, what happens is that that is something as maybe there is a need for a program office to also run this very systematically, which is looking at both, the mentees as well as mentors, looking at the time commitment. So I guess it should be process driven and also documented well, so that so there is an objective, as Shanti was saying, there is an end objective to be met, and the whole journey, if you go through it and then see how things are changing, there is something for them to see. So if it is left alone, I feel, just to the mentee and the mentor, it could be conversation. I'm sure there would be a lot of quality conversation, but for it to function, I would recommend a program office, which is also with certain objectives and certain milestone to be achieved, say at the end of 6 months, would really help. So the whole thing of being consistent is important. I mean, after initial enthusiasm, it should continue. Otherwise, it can become like one more activity to be done. That's the only thing. Otherwise, it's all set, and I'm sure there are people on both sides wanting to learn, people wanting to share. It should be a perfect place, and it should work well.
Thank you, ma'am. Would you like to share your insights from Director?
Me, Navina?
Sure. Yeah. Maggie, you want to go ahead? Okay.
Yes,
No, you go ahead, ma'am. You go ahead.
Yeah. I agree with Revati. In fact, all of you. And I would suggest that, we already have a Dean Alumni Relations Office with staff and associate deans. So, I think we can link it to that office run by students, but the students, the problem is, it's a floating population. This batch is because I have seen many things fail from the time I joined. They do with a lot of enthusiasm, but once the final year graduates, it's not passed on to the junior batches. So it becomes a problem because I've seen many very, very exciting initiatives dropping off after the initial spike. So I would request the Dean Alumni Relations Office to get attached. so that, like Revati suggested, we have a continuity. It's not that they will interfere, but they'll make sure that, maybe once a month meetings are set up, and then, whatever support and office support is needed will be given. So I've already informed the Dean Alumni Relations about it. Um, and I think we will take it forward, because I have seen such networks not performing well, even with IEEE, like such a large professional society. We started the mentor-mentee network, I think, maybe 15 years back, but then the enthusiasm drops. So I totally agree, and we will give all support from the institute side.
Thank you, ma'am. Maggie, ma'am, your words.
Awesome. I think there was a very grounded input from everyone. It needs to be run with a lot of care. What I see is a huge potential it has, definitely for the students, but also for the alumni. For when was the last time the four of us were together, even talking about this, right? So it's just a great thing to build NIT-T out there as something that just feeds back into itself, which some of the many great other educational institutes have, and something that we have to grow a little bit more on.
Thank you, ma'am. Like those were some really great advices, and I'm sure our team and even our juniors, along with the admin, would love to work on those advices and keep WIN-NITT and Women in Tech going without losing that initial spark. My next question is actually inspired from Srimati ma'am's talk. So she mentioned about being street smart. So I personally believe that women are born leaders, but if you were to redefine, the balance, the nuance of a balanced leader in the current scenario, what would it be like, and what has been the biggest takeaway for each of you from the crazy year that 2020 was? Let's start with Shanti. Oh, sorry, Srimati ma'am. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Navina, no, none of us are born leaders, okay? So, first of all, I think we should just stay away from such, the one-liners that you read here and there. We all get groomed to become leaders. And being street smart is one of them. So if you don't pick up the right signals and you don't choose the path that you want to in a clear way, you can never become a leader. And most importantly is many times the paths are not there. So if there is no path, you make a path, and that is what will make a difference between a leader and a no leader. If you are going to sit in a room and just wait for opportunities to come, then you're nowhere. But you decide to just forge ahead and create your own path and say, this is my choice, people in the room will be willing to get up and listen to you. Then you emerge as a leader, right? I think it's not about the pandemic which has taught us anything. We are pretty used to such pandemics in India in some way or the other in the past as well. But what organizations have now learned is, no matter where the person is, they will be able to deliver things on time, right? I'm sure Revati, Shanti, and Maggie will also accept the way Dr. Thomas has run NIT, irrespective of all the shutdowns, and still able to have this session also organized, in spite of not all of us coming back to the brick and mortar model. Itself says that we all choose to respond and not react when such pandemics happen. So a balanced leader is a person who is courageous and also cares. If courage and care is not 50-50% in your mind, you can never win, Navina. It's true for you, it's true for the other boys in the room as well. Courage alone will not help, you need care. Care alone will not help, you need to be courageous. That's all from my end. Back to you, Navina.
Thank you, ma'am. Shanti, ma'am, would you like to chip in?
Yeah, thanks, Navina. I think first and foremost, right, as Srimati rightly put it, see, we have seen mothers, grandmothers at home. See, all of us draw inspiration from their leadership, right? They may not be running an enterprise, but they would have run a family with all odds possible, without any Google help or anything. So we are all naturally inspired, and we take control of the situation. Even if you're some young child of 5 years or 6 years, you tell the girl child that you keep the house under lock and key, don't allow anybody. That's leadership, right? You assume, take accountability, etc. And that is there in a girl naturally, because we want to prove a point to others, right? All of us have that instinct, particularly when someone says you are not capable of doing, we want to kind of go ahead, raise it up and show them that I can make it happen, right? We have done with our siblings, etc. So I think that natural instinct is there. And pandemic, like what I think again I agree with Srimati, right? We have been experienced this, but it's pandemic at scale. What happened last year? But personally, you have something or the other at home, right? Probably your son is on the board exam, and probably a young mother delivering. So every time you have some challenges to come back to see whether should I continue my career, continue the leadership, quest and things like that. But the point is, along with care and courage that Srimati spoke, I also think that we need to have that integrity and genuinity in us, right? We don't want to do it something for ourselves; it's for our passion. Even today, I'm sure all of us here have come to speak because we are passionate about what we are doing. I think that is also another important thing I would add on. Actually,
Uh, Thank you, ma'am. Revati, ma'am, would you like to share your insights?
I think for what I think is apt for today's women leaders or the aspiring women leaders, I would like to say that opportunities are rarely offered. It needs to be seized. It is there all around us. Men are doing it more successfully than women. We shy away. We want to sometimes women. So as much as we blame the ecosystem and we talk about things around us are not happening, we are not getting the chance. I think women also should question ourselves. How much are we going out in the open to also take out things? Today I can see that organizations are making a lot of changes. It's very good with this whole DNI focus, inclusivity, all of that policy changes, and now it's time for women to do that. Go out, seek the opportunity, make it work for you. Nothing comes in a platter, and there is nothing wrong when taking something and making it work for you. I think that is a very fundamental message I would like to give it to all our women, future aspiring leaders. The other thing is, in today's world, you're passing out from NIT this year. Next year, okay, the year after, what you're going to be working on is going to be very different from what you have studied. The world is dynamic, things are changing like never before. So there is this need to constantly keep learning, continuous learning. But organization doesn't have too much patience. So the important thing is learn quickly and contribute quickly. Learn quickly, contribute quickly. That is how you will be seen as someone who's capable of delivering something. You will be seen as a prospective leader. So these are the two key messages I just wanted to leave with the students. And your second part, you said about, I was thinking about myself, and because of last year and COVID and all of it, while as leaders we all think of various things, but two things which really stood out for me and which I think will continue to remain is the whole thing about being sensitive. you know People have gone through so many, I mean, all of us personally and professionally, we have gone through a lot. Like that, every individual, every member of your team has gone through so much. So being sensitive rather being judgmental, if work is happening, not happening, rather than just being, the figuring out, being with them, being sensitive to reality, because people have gone through depression, people have gone through so much, that I think being sensitive has, to me, last year been really top of the list. And the other thing is about motivation. In times like this, I think as leaders, we really need to stand behind them and make sure and help them to achieve what we are all set out to achieve. It has been a difficult year, but sensitivity and motivation, along with trust, has been really key for me.
Yeah, learn quickly, implement quickly should be something that all of us should keep in mind, I guess. Maggie, ma'am, would you like to tell us about your experience?
Yeah, again, I'll keep it crisp. Two things. One is always do some research and have the knowledge of how the work connects to the overall business impact. That I think is crucial in being for the people to recognize you as a leader, it's a very crucial factor. It is very easy to just just do what we do really well and not really be aware of that. But being aware of that is very important. And the second is again finding your support. I want to keep coming back to it. In today's leadership, it doesn't have to be alone. There is no award out there for being the lone leader. It is okay to call out and ask for help. Being vulnerable is something we are very afraid of as women. We want to be perfect. We want to look strong, but being vulnerable goes a long way in navigating the leadership.
Thank you, ma'am. And lastly, I think Director ma'am has taken a lot of initiatives throughout the year for us amongst this pandemic. So I think we can't expect a better answer. Would you like to answer?
Yeah. Regarding the women leadership, I think we have to come out of the comfort zone, and very many women are reluctant to take up leadership positions. One is opportunities are less, but when opportunity comes, we think of so many other things. I want to be comfortable. I don't want to take any risks. So that has to change from the beginning, very beginning. And unless you prove yourself, because I feel we have to work a little harder at workplace, because that is the mindset in the workplace. And so many interviews, I had to really scold my fellow interview panel, because they keep asking such questions to a lady candidate, which is intimidating, and I have to really stop them. You can't ask this. If you're asking it to a lady, ask it to a gentleman also, same questions. So it is difficult. So when an opportunity comes, we should not shy away. We should take it up. But you have to make a lot of personal, you have to make you have to make your support system available so that you can work. But that girls have to learn from the beginning. Please don't, regret, because I am here today because I took so many risks. I came out of my comfort. So I'm sure the same thing with all of us here. So that has to be, drilled into your mind, that you have to take risks. You have to come out of your comfort zone and grab opportunities. If not there, create opportunities, and you have to prove that you can do it. And you have to do it well, not for, certificates and, gains. Do it for your, do it well, so that the experience you gain stays with you. Because a lot of men and women, young kids, do it for, just name on somewhere or get a certificate. That won't work. You have to work and get, gain the experience out of it, which will help you in the long run. COVID, I have too many things to talk. We are doing well. I just want to say that NIT Trichy did extremely well during COVID. We got so many recognitions during COVID. I can't thank our community for coming out, because we got so many things. I'm surprised myself. We got a supercomputer. We are part of National Supercomputing Mission. We got a Innovation Facilitation Center from NRDC. We became the National Womxn coordinator. We became 9th in engineering. The list is going on and on. What we got during we have more publications in 2020 than in 2019. We graduated 98 PhDs in 2019. We graduated 173 PhDs in 1920. So we are doing extremely well during COVID. Thank you for all the cooperation. Thank you.
Okay, that was really inspiring, ma'am. Thank you for answering it in detail. So my next question would be like my favorite question, and I've been wanting to ask this for a long time. So today we are celebrating women, and I'm sure all of us have heard this phrase, like, there's a woman behind every man's success. And then recently we've also heard a man being behind a woman's success. But women being behind a woman's success is something we don't often hear. And, our own community is an example of it. And just seeing you all interact between yourselves is just another example of women uplifting each other. So I would just like to ask you all about that one woman or the women who've been crucial part of your career and life in general. Srimati ma'am, can you start with you?
I mean, yeah, that's my mother. So, my mom and my grandma, I guess, they just stood by me all times. And what I don't learn in office, I learn from them. I think, as you rightly said, all of them did say about women being a little more street smart. Navina, you go into an ICU of any hospital, you'll see more men than women. And then we talk about whether women can take anything assertively. Right, Dr. Thomas? I mean, it's true, right? It's just because we guys know how to manage ourselves and also manage infliction points. I mean, it's a known fact. The doctors say that also. So, having said that, and you have this inherent strength, where else will you choose your strength from? I think the moms are the classiest and the best examples. Uh, and I can always say that it's her.
I think all of us would agree that our moms are the best. Shanti ma'am, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah. So probably here, like all of us, moms, grandmoms are there, but I would actually give it to my maid actually, who was there to take care of my children, right? Like what Dr. Thomas said. I see for women to come up, I just we take, I think about 30 seconds to give you banana again. If there is a match happening at the other side of the fence, this I read it somewhere, I liked it very much, right? You have two people, one tall person and another short person, okay? The tall person is those privileged gang of women, if you have to just picturize them, who have the privilege to see the match because they are tall. Now there is this short person who wants to also see the match. Those are those people who are fighting, right? For them, you need to enable them with those props, right? Put a stool or make them stand, carry him, do something to see the match. So like that, my mate carried me. I have to do that, right? He took care of all my young children. You can pay them anything, but the trust and faith is something that you cannot get just like that. So I would also give it to her. Otherwise, I would have had a break in my career sometime or the other. So, thanks.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to also tell you, Navina, that 40% of my team leadership is women. So,
That's great to hear, ma'am.
yeah, I
Very
think it just
inspiring.
starts with if you have to come and, spread the word, then you have to do it first.
That's correct. Revati ma'am, can you go ahead and tell us about your inspiration?
Yeah. Of course, like everybody has said, mom, but in my case, mom plus my sister. In fact, she's 5 years elder to me, and she did. And so for me, it was easy. I didn't have to really break my head. Fortunately, she was good, so I seem to have followed her. But she's the one who's broken glass ceilings first. She's the one who's given me the inspiration that you can do well. She was very good in academics. So I guess for me, the competition was not outside, the competition was well within the home. I looked up to her, and she is doing well. So I guess that has given. So it was an easy path for me. But end of the day, I think it's important for us to have it within ourselves. While we get influenced by other women, by my mother or the sister, but you need to have it within you to make it. So that whole thing of doing things should be there. The fire should be there within yourself to make it happen. But all due credit to my sister on this one.
That's amazing. Maggie ma'am, would you like to answer?
It's a tough question because there have been so many, but I have to single down on one. That will be my daughter. She always tells me I can do it. She's the person. She will bet my points, and she also keeps me grounded. She calls me incompetent all the time. So it's really good to have her as my counsel in many things, and come back home after I've done something. I can always come back and tell her. I know that I will get the very genuine appreciation from her. So I would say it's my daughter.
That's great, ma'am. Mini ma'am, would you like to answer?
Yeah, I agree that mother and maids, which were mentioned earlier, my mother, who was a school teacher, who was always with me. Of course, the support system included all the maids who are still helping me. But I would give credit to my mother-in-law, because I was married into a joint family and she was a working woman, my mother-in-law. But she gave all the support, all the help. In fact, many times she would be the one who will, she used to read the newspaper completely, and she is the one who will tell me that this opportunity is there. Why don't you apply? Including the NIT Trichy, I would say, the application. And joining PhD, when I was about to get married, I was working in REC Calicut. When our, a marriage got fixed, my husband was in Delhi. Sitting in Delhi, she thought, what will Mini do when she comes to Delhi? So she's the one who sent me the PhD application of IIT Delhi before marriage. And all through my life, she has supported me. She's no more, but she helped.
That was a very emotional answer, but yeah, like we've had all sorts of answers: mother, mother-in-law, daughter, sister, and seniors. And I think there's a lot of women behind each woman's success. So that's probably why it's not, a popular saying. So I would like to, mine. I think, yeah. So I think my mom and grandmom have been like my greatest inspiration since childhood. My grandmother helped my mom raise me till I was 3. So, and she's 81. She still lives alone, all on her own. She won't live with any of us. Independently in a village, in a very big house, all by herself. So I think whenever I'm down, I just think of her and all that she embodies. So yeah, she's my greatest inspiration. Uh, yeah, due to, I would like to, continue talking because it's really nice to talk with all of you. But due to time constraints, I think we'll have to finish it here. Uh, with with that, we come to the end of this panel discussion, and I would like to thank all of you, all our esteemed guests, our director, and all our distinguished alumni for not just supporting us with the initiative, but also taking time out to come here, join us for the launch. And thank you all for joining us for today's forenoon session in today's Women's Day celebrations. We will take a brief lunch break for about an hour, and we'll be joining back for the afternoon session where we'll be having a lot of networking sessions, fun activities in the Microsoft Teams group of our Women in Tech community, for which the link is given in the description below. So there's a lot of goodies up for grabs by our sponsor, Paper Dolphin. So don't miss out. Yeah, again, join us back at 2 p.m. See you soon. Thank you all.
Navina, if I can take a minute, let me first congratulate you for having a very well-structured panel discussion. Number 2, you look like a thorough professional, very well prepared, and the way you summarized it, you're already there as a leader. So many congratulations for your great articulation, for being so assertive, though all of us can eat you anytime, by showing our seniority, which you didn't allow. That assertive is what you should carry throughout. So be assertive, be smart, Navina, and thank you for a great articulation today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I can't get a better compliment. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye.